she's got the fiscal responsibility.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wareham Finance Committee meeting. I'd like to proceed. Mrs. Catulli became quite ill tonight, so she won't be able to be with us this evening. And I'll find out tomorrow if she's going to be with us to help us out next week. But she wants to be, but she just wasn't able to breathe, a little thing. Want to call the meeting to order, and can I have a roll call, please?
Present at the meeting are Marilyn Jordan, John Fontes, if I get this right yet, Tom Worthen, David Hurd, Jeffrey Langan, and Donna Bronk.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any citizens' participation this evening? Okay, I'm not seeing a town administrator here, so I don't see, we can put him on hold until he comes, or if he's coming, I'm not sure. Let's get to the business section right away, and Selectman Titlebaum has come to speak to us regarding an article, to clarify an article that came before us last week. Would you mind coming up, Selectman Titlebaum?
Good evening, members of the FinCom. What I just handed out a minute ago for you is a combination of the sewer commissioner article that was passed at a previous town meeting and enacted into law by the state legislature that is now incorporated in our town charter. There's additional language that the town administrator, town council, and the Board of Selectmen believe needs to be added to that act so as to make sure that going forward the sewer commissioners act in concert with the town charter and also the general laws. Specifically, what we're looking at is under the general laws, the selectmen are the sole authority to negotiate union contracts, except as relates to a school department where the school committee plus one member of the Board of Selectmen negotiates the contracts. That was not contained in the original article, and that pertains to union contracts. Under the general laws, the Board of Selectmen is also the authority that manages, initiates, resolves, and handles litigation. And that was something that was not in this original article. The purpose to all this was not to assert some kind of control by the Board of Selectmen or the administration over the sewer commissioners themselves. It was simply to clarify the relationships, to bring them into agreement under the charter, and also so that 20 years from now, when people become sewer commissioners, when people become selectmen, they understand what it is and who it is that are doing things and who's authorized to. There's also a provision in here relating to the town administrator shall continue to maintain and exercise administrative control over personnel as currently provided by the Wareham Charter. This doesn't relate to the hiring of the sewer superintendent. That function remains with the sewer commissioners. So they will hire the sewer superintendent. That doesn't change. This relates to things such as disciplinary matters. It relates to things such as tracking vacation time, benefits, and all of those functions that are currently being performed by the town administration. If this provision were, for example, not authorized, you could wind up with a town administrator one day saying, those sewer commissioners, they better go hire people to do all this stuff. We're not doing it for them, it's not our responsibility. This keeps that function within this place where it belongs in the town government. So that was the intent and the purpose of this. It was not an attempt by the selectmen to exert any kind of control over the day-to-day operations over there, or to find a back door in to retain control of this. I, for one, will be happy to surrender this responsibility, and I think I speak for all of the board members when it comes to that. So I'm here available for any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Marilyn?
You know, I see this act, and although you've added things to it to tighten sort of the language. Nothing in the original act precludes the town administrator from the overall day-to-day personnel and union negotiations. Nothing in this act says that he can't do this. And the Board of Selectmen already in this act have the power to veto any sewer commissioner's appointment within 15 days. Now, I don't see why all this additional language is absolutely necessary, because the town charter covers all of these things. The town administrator's duties are written out there, so is the Board of Selectmen, and all this extra language does, in my opinion, is just confuse the issue. There's nothing in this that says the town administrator isn't handling the unions. The only difference I see is the sewer superintendent has taken out, and the town administrator shall appoint and remove. That's the only difference I see, which I don't like, frankly. I think the people voted for this because they wanted the power with the sewer commissioners. And now we're attempting to usurp what the voters understood and voted for not once, but twice. And say to them, no, we don't think you understood this. We want to bring this back and keep it under the control of the town administrator and the Board of Selectmen. That's not where the power should lie. The power lies with the people in the sewer commissioners. And there's nothing that says Mr. Sullivan can't do his duties, nothing that says the Board of Selectmen can't do their duties. In this act, it's very wide open and open to interpretation by our charter.
Well, the purpose of this legislation and the purpose of any legislation shouldn't be to leave subjects wide open to interpretation.
It's not wide open. It puts it right back in the charter. It puts it right back in the charter.
Well, it should be to clarify those roles. Respectfully, I have to disagree that this is an attempt to assert any kind of control. It's an attempt to allow the town administrator, for example, if you go down to the bottom two, these are E and F, there was no provision for when the sewer commissioners had to provide a budget. Now we know the school committee has the authority to develop the school budget. They have a whole budget hearing. I'm assuming the sewer commissioners will probably do something similar at some point. But under the charter, they had a deadline to submit the budget to the town administrator by January 5th. We had to add that in here because absent that, there is nothing holding the sewer commissioners responsible to the taxpayers of the town of Wareham by getting a budget to them by a date certain. Likewise, Section 7-9 governs the removal of the sewer superintendent. Granted, it repeats it, but it clarifies who does it and how it's done. Looking at the other portion here under Section D-1, the sewer superintendent shall be responsible for the technical administration of the sewer system and facilities and for implementing any such votes of the sewer commissioners as lie within that commission's jurisdiction. Except as expressly provided in the Wareham charters, the sewer commissioners have no control over personnel matters. That language is significantly different from the language that was struck out, which says what the sewer superintendent shall supervise, direct, to be responsible for the efficient administration. That's all fine and good, but personnel was never mentioned in the original law. It's a vacuum.
Because it's covered by the charter.
But no, but the purpose of any legislation establishing in a separate board should be to clarify who does what. If you've got vacuums, there's going to be tussles, there are going to be fights, there are going to be disagreements, there are going to be problems. You can even wind up with litigation over these things when you get 10 taxpayers jumping on the side of one party in this and don't like what the other side is doing. As an attorney, I can tell you that when laws are written, the intent is to clarify the relationships. It's no different than a contract. When you enter into a contract with somebody, you're trying to figure out who's supposed to do what. That's the entire purpose of a contract, is to determine those things ahead of time to avoid problems. That's what the attempt here is by the town administrator, by town council and myself, who worked on this to try to come up with something that honored the original intent. Look, the original intent of the article wasn't to fight over who's gonna fire whom. The original intent of the article, as voted into law and put into law by the legislature, wasn't to have a vacuum as to who handles litigation. The intent of that law was for a board of sewer commissioners to be established to decide where sewers were gonna go, to negotiate the contracts to build them, and to take that control away from the board of selectmen, and to put those issues, the overarching policy issues, under the control of the separate board of sewer commissioners. It was not to set up an entirely separate operation outside of the town government. The concern here on the board of selectmen was that absent these additions, you're leaning towards a district. You're leaning towards a separate creation, you're leaning towards additional bureaucracy, and you're leading towards additional expense. So that's why these things are in here. This isn't an attempt to grab power back. It's an attempt to clarify it so that the sewer department operates in concert with the rest of the town.
Right,
Okay.
as does the
Excuse-
school committee.
Okay, can I ask the gentleman over here if they can have a question? Tom?
I hate to be the sewer superintendent where I couldn't hire or fire anybody,
Yeah.
and that was the responsibility of the town administrator. It just doesn't make any, organizationally, it may be right by the charter and all this other junk, but it's not a good organizational situation where the town administrator is hiring and firing the employees who are the responsibility of the sewer commissioner.
Well,
Not the sewer commissioner, the sewer superintendent. That poor guy, if he doesn't get along with the town administrator, he's walking the plank.
Who?
I mean, the town administrator fire the employees that work for the sewer commissioner, the sewer superintendent. Am I right about that?
Yes. They remain the hiring authority, they remain the disciplinary authority. The town administrator would essentially carry on as he currently does within the sewer department. The reason for that is that absent that control, and where we have a system whereby the town administrator is the one dealing with the unions, the town administrator is the one who initiates investigations of employee conduct, the town administrator is the one who deals with labor council. This is to avoid a duplication of service, number one. It's to streamline the disciplinary process, it's to treat the unions equally and fairly, and that's the reason for it. I don't see that any sewer superintendent would have any particular problem with this. I'm assuming the sewer superintendent is going to be working pretty closely with the town administrator on any number of matters. So I don't think that all of a sudden there's going to be months of no communication, and then Mr. Sullivan or whoever the town administrator is going to call up and say, oh yeah, your guy's fired, click. I don't see that happening, but perhaps Mr. Sullivan could elaborate more on that.
I would ask Mr. Worthen, who is the sewer superintendent?
Who is the sewer, Mr. Campina,
No?
the selectman? I don't know who it
The
is,
maintenance-
but if I'm running the shop,
Director of Maintenance.
Used to be
Of
the
17
director of
people.
maintenance. There's no sewer superintendent now. Could be the town administrator. It's pretty darn defective. Who is the sewer superintendent?
if there's a problem with the sewers right now, who do you go to get it rectified?
Municipal maintenance director, then to Mr. Campina.
Okay, all right. But Mr. Campina's got the 17 people that are running the sewage facilities.
Much like the chief of
That-
police
that are
has police
responsible for-
officers under him. The sewer superintendent right now does not exist, and we don't know who it is.
Who are we on us? Huh?
Then
It's an interesting law, we'll just leave it at that.
No, but good, great salary,
Oh,
it's good on the benefits, you know.
If I can ask a question, what's Mr. Campina's title?
Director, Water Pollution Control Facility Director.
Now, nothing precludes the new sewer commissioners, once they're elected in April and coming on May 1st, from taking Mr. Campina and, I believe, installing him
as
as the sewer superintendent, if we get clarification that the old charter provision, that the municipal maintenance director is actually the sewer superintendent taken care of. So it's still kind of strange. This was, I mean, this was really something that, almost at the top, we've got an issue with this, but nobody, I mean, Attorney Bowen and I banged our heads on that question for about 2 hours. We couldn't figure out what the heck it
If there
meant.
was a problem tomorrow, would you pick up the phone and call David, or would you call Guy?
Right now, it depends on what magnitude.
Pardon me?
On what magnitude?
Serious, I don't know.
Call Dave and say, we need to meet with Guy.
Under what conditions would you call Guy direct?
On some of the everyday average stuff.
So then David is responsible for the performance of the sewage treatment plant.
Correct.
He doesn't present the budget. He doesn't go before the selectmen. I
No,
mean, this is screwed up.
you're very
Yes.
right,
Yes.
and we are trying to clarify it. And in fact, now Mr. Campina gets installed as the sewer superintendent. Is he in the steelworker union? Is that a contract employee? What is that?
I hope not.
Well, somebody's gonna have to decide those things.
Well, right now, absent the sewer commissioners, you guys are responsible for it, right?
It's ours until May 1st, and then we
You
we hand it off, and if there's a fuse attached to it and the fuse is sputtering,
Suppose they say, I
then
don't want it until you guys fix it.
they don't get to do that. If they run in and take the oath of office, they're stuck with it.
Okay,
Are you saying nobody's gonna run, Tom?
pardon me?
Are you saying nobody's gonna run?
Well, I'm sure they're runners.
They may
This is
not
the
want
town
to
runners.
after others.
David, did you have a question? I saw your hand, no?
I have a question.
Jeff?
So I'm trying to sort this out, because I think we've got about 3 different items on the table all at once. What I hear is there are certain personnel functions that any organization has, and you can't have 2 separate systems managing benefits, managing all that stuff, and keep track and have good financial control. So putting that under a town system, where we know who's got how much vacation left and all the other things that administrator needs to know, you can see that. If I were running an organization and was responsible for people, I know I have to follow the rules of any organization, personnel policies and so forth that are in place. But when I look at my employees, they gotta be real clear as to who they work for, who their evaluation is done by. That seems to be the person that they work for. They don't work for the administrator. The administrator does all of the, you gotta follow these guidelines, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and so forth. This is how we run things here. That's a normal personnel function, administrative function. But, you know, if I went to you and said, oh, by the way, I'm gonna control who you have as junior law partners in your organization, and gee, I think I'll go up to,
Well, if I were a government lawyer, that might happen.
what's that?
If I were a government lawyer, that might happen.
Yeah, well,
Oh, let me take this place of the employee. Who do I work for?
Your supervisor.
Who's gonna determine, I guess in a union environment, my behavior doesn't matter? I get ranked?
Supervisor would write up the employees for any sort of action. If it then went to firing, you would have to go by whatever the union contract states, and it would ultimately go to the appointing authority to have a hearing as to whether that person is fired. That's the same with, as I said, the police department with the chief of police. I'm the appointing authority, and I'm the one that actually fires police officers or would ultimately hire them. It's the same throughout all of the town departments.
But that's similar, again, to go back to my personnel example, where the supervisor does the evaluation determining the performance. So the person knows that they're gonna sit down with their supervisor and they're gonna get feedback. Hopefully, they're also telling the great employees you're doing great as well, because that's what we need. When it comes down to, let's say you have to take action that's gonna result in termination, then, and I'm gonna use the business example, I understand it doesn't totally apply. But in the business world, you basically go out and you sit down with your personnel administrator and your personnel department and say, we need to basically deal with this employee, I made a determination that the employee basically should not be in our employ any longer for X, Y, Z reasons. So the employee knows for sure who's gonna basically make the decision. How it gets done is with the administrator. But
And it's in the charter how it gets done. So he would still be doing the hiring and firing as far as the way I read this act.
Yes.
The original act?
The original act.
see, the hiring
No,
though,
that's,
Hold on,
The
hold on.
only
Let's go
thing
through
that
the
he
chain,
could-
please. Please, let's just go through and we can keep it orderly. Go ahead, Marilyn.
The only thing, the sewer superintendent can appoint a sewer superintendent. All the other hiring, firing, this, that, and everything else is contained within the charter and lies with the town administrator. So that piece is still in place. All this fancy maneuvering is to confuse and, to me, gut the intent of what the voters wanted. They want the power with them, with the people, the voters, not with the town administrator and not with the Board of Selectmen. They want some autonomy when it comes to sewer issues with the sewer commissioners answerable to them by being kicked out if they don't like what they did. And by the same token, the sewer superintendent, you're gonna make this a watchdog authority with absolutely no teeth if you do this.
I'm afraid I have to
Disagree, and I'm sure you will.
No, in section D2, it says the sewer superintendent shall appoint and remove. That is in direct violation of the charter.
Subject to the civil service laws.
No civil service there.
Well, within 15 days following the day of the appointment, such board shall have the opportunity by majority vote to affirm or deny said firing, hiring,
No,
whatever,
it just says for appointment.
or appointment.
But it doesn't-
Fire, hire, whatever you want to call it. The charter specifically says that you deal with all the financial unions, this, that, within the town, and this is part of the town. The water pollution control facility is part of the town. They're not a separate entity unto themselves. They belong to the town, and therefore, I think that's why this was written, so that the charter supersedes this. Except for the case of the sewer commissioners can pick a sewer superintendent. And the Board of Selectmen have the right to say, we don't want that guy or girl.
But that's not what this law says as written. It says the sewer commissioners have that authority, which is what puts it in
No,
conflict
it says
with
right
the
here,
charter.
within 15 days, the
Okay.
Board of Selectmen can deny,
Within 15 days, I'll read it aloud.
Hold
Within
on.
15 days following the day on which notice of the appointment is filed with the Board of Sewer Commissioners, such board shall have the opportunity. It does not say Board of Selectmen. When it says such board, it's directly
Wait a
relating
minute.
back to Board of Sewer
sewer
Commissioners.
superintendent. The appointment of a sewer superintendent shall be made by the sewer commission and shall be effective 15 days after notice of the
Are we
appointment has
reading
been
the same
filed.
thing here? Are you reading D? I'm looking at,
I'm reading the actual act that came out of the Senate, Act number 1856.
and you're reading D
And I'm reading in-
immediately after D, or are you looking
No,
at
right at
subsection
D.
2?
I'm looking at D, not subsection 2.
Okay.
Has been filed, the appointment has been filed with the Board of Selectmen, unless the Board of Selectmen shall, within that period, by a majority vote of its members, reject the appointment
Right,
of the
but
Board of
this-
Selectmen. So they can reject it. The Board of
But
Selectmen
that's
already
right.
have power here.
Of the sewer superintendent, but that's not being changed in this. If you look down at 1 and 2, there
Right,
are
it's
different
still-
matters being changed.
Right, the things that are
2,
being changed, are you making the sewer superintendent now answerable to the town administrator and the Board of Selectmen, just the way it always has been.
No, what 2 does is it takes the sewer superintendent out as the appointing authority. It puts the town administrator in as the appointing authority, which is what makes, that change makes it comply with the terms of the charter when it comes to appointments. It doesn't change anything in relation to the appointment of the sewer superintendent. I don't know where that's coming from.
All right, Mr. Worthing.
If you look at the next the last line under 2. The appointment made by the sewer superintendent, should that be the appointment made by the town administrator?
Yeah, actually, if Mr. Worthing, you've picked out a section that should be crossed out and read town administrator.
Okay.
Same as the
Okay.
top line, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like.
Okay, well, fortunately, the voters are gonna, we're here to make our recommendations. Does anybody have anything new to add to it, or any more input that we can, go ahead, David.
Yes, through the chair. Number one, you've discussed this with town council, and town council has reviewed and had input to it.
Beyond that, town council drafted the replacement language that you see highlighted here.
And if we did not include the wording that you have in here, if you, in D2, we would be doing something that would be contrary to town charter as far as the appointment of
Correct.
personnel.
At the charter as is presently written, yes,
All right,
correct.
so we have a choice of either changing town charter or changing this.
Yeah.
All right,
In other words, you could put an exception in the town charter to allow this, or you can make this conform with the town charter. Those are your two choices.
I would prefer to have this conform to town charter.
You would prefer to do what?
I prefer to have this act conform to town charter.
Okay.
All right, barring any more discussion, thank you for your input. And
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, thank you.
An interesting discussion.
I'd entertain a motion on how we're gonna act on this, how the FinCom's going to vote on this.
I move that we act to modify the act providing the sewer commissioners in the town of Wareham in compliance with the changes that are presented before us today.
We can't do that.
I mean, through the chair,
We can't do that.
That has to be done on town floor.
That can't be done
Yeah.
here.
We either
we
gotta
can't
vote
do that,
for it,
David.
to accept it or not.
We have to
you know.
vote in either favorable action on the motion or unfavorable action, okay?
You can change
We
it at town meeting.
can't change anything.
Right.
No, I didn't.
But I mean, I know where you're coming from, and I know what you're saying, but it's just our recommendation. If the majority of us don't agree with this, we vote nay. If we vote in favor of this wording, don't forget when the town charter was written in 1977, I believe it was, we didn't have all these unions. We didn't have all the chaos we have now. And that's the only thing I'm gonna add to it, and I think if you overlook, and you know, you've all been in business, if you step the wrong way when you're dealing with a union, we're gonna be having lawsuits crazy. I personally would rather have a professional dealing with these contracts. I personally don't see where this is taking away anything from the sewer commissioners. But, I mean, you may, I'm just telling you what I see. And I just think that, again, the charter was written in 1977. Things have changed tremendously. So, again, I'm gonna entertain a motion to approve approve this thing, and we can vote it in or we can vote it down, and it will be up to the people of town meeting. We can voice our opinion there, but we can't change it here. It's just before us to vote.
Madam Chair, I make a motion for favorable action.
Second.
Wait, I've got one question. If we,
For discussion,
if we-
go ahead.
If we vote not to approve these changes,
Mm-hmm.
and they approve the, as originally written, and then what is originally written is against town charter, the whole thing holds?
No,
No, it's already
it's not
passed.
against town charter.
No. Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Chapman.
I'll just come up to clarify the town meeting process here. Your vote tonight is a recommendation, just as ours was, a favorable action vote. You're doing this to get it in the printed materials that the FinCom develops with the explanations and so on and so forth to hand out to the voters to inform them at town meeting. If you vote favorable action, fine. If you don't vote favorable action, that's fine. That's your recommendation to the voters. If the voters themselves do not accept these changes, the original legislation still stands with all the problems that we've tried to identify here. There will be an election in April to install sewer commissioners. They will assume those duties on May 1st, and it's their baby going forward. So nothing changes if this gets voted down. It's not that there will be a delay in the implementation of the original law. There will still be sewer commissioners. They will still assume their duties on May 1st. Nothing in that regard will change. So I hope that answers your question.
But this is defective.
Well, we think there are certain holes in the legislation, which is why we've identified what we've identified. But that's up to you as to whether you think this should be voted favorable action or not. That's your recommendation.
And one other point I just want to make, that the current Board of Selectmen that you have there, they were very much in favor back when the original sewer commissioners came in. Okay, they weren't the selectmen at the time. They weren't the selectmen that stalled it. The new ones, the selectmen that are there now are the ones that have been pushing it forward. And I have to speak on their behalf, and I just have to, and this is, again, it's just my opinion, because I've been working with this for years, because I've been a big advocate of sewer commissioners. I believe this was just an attempt to clean up some situations that were not taken care of. However, do we have more to, sure we do, but we're just trying to move forward in a positive way. This is what I see this as. Doesn't mean I'm right. But as I say, I've been working on this a long time.
It's taking workload off of the superintendent and to get more surveillance.
It's taken off the selectmen. The selectmen, they put more time into this than, it's not like they get paid for anything, for goodness sakes. It adds another level to look at, and it takes it away from them, the day-to-day responsibility, and it still keeps it where union contracts should be with whoever's running our town, in my opinion. Whoever knows them.
Me too.
I mean, I wouldn't want to sit down and run these contracts myself. I wouldn't have a clue. So that's all I'm going to say to it. So we have a motion, we have it seconded, and do we have any more discussion on this? Okay, I'm going to call for a vote then. All those in favor of Article 11? Aye, say aye, or what, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, 2 opposed, okay. All right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 2.
And Madam
one-
Chairman,
Yes,
may I ask to write the con on this?
yeah, absolutely,
Thank
you
you.
may. You may.
Minority opinion.
Minority opinion.
it. Okay.
Okay,
I'm good at those.
okay, thank you, Mr. Titlebaum.
If you're wearing a striped shirt.
There you go.
Okay, well, whatever, but. Okay, all right, let's, Town Administrator, do you have a report for us today?
Last time I provided, should have had the monthly revenue and expenditure through August, and I want to see if there was any questions on that. I thought that's something we could go through.
Okay, does everyone have theirs there? Okay,
And you do need an additional of the
Oh, I think
monthly,
I
it was just
yeah.
expenditure, you do need an additional one for the WPCF as well, so
Okay.
we can work.
okay. All right, you have that right there. I don't have it either. Any other copies? You'll have to excuse me, I'm not, let me just see where. Okay, that's it, okay.
And then while we're just going through things, the number one that had caused me concern, and I brought it up last time, was the unemployment line. The bill, and it doesn't show on this report because I physically saw the bill before it was entered into the system. The last one we'd seen was for $42,000, and most of those were fairly new from the cuts that we've made. So I would not expect, unless there's suddenly a bunch of jobs, for that number to fall off.
I'm not finding, Mr. Town Administrator, I don't have that with me. You don't have any additional copies with you, do you, by any chance?
You can,
If you can, does everyone else have it?
I have one
No.
down if you need it.
I don't have it either. I
No.
left it home, I know what it looks like.
Okay,
one.
go ahead, let me just see, oh, I know what you're talking about here, okay.
Yeah,
All right, do you have it in front of you? Okay,
yep, that's it.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Hey, don't I have one if you wanna look, any?
Okay, thanks, Steve. Yeah. Oh, there is a copy machine in the other?
it a few minutes
Yeah, yeah, okay, great, would you?
Sing some songs or something?
Kumbaya, kumbaya would be
Give
good.
peace a chance, huh?
Kumbaya.
Kumbaya.
Okay,
No, thanks, pal, I can't sing.
okay, how about, what's the next thing on our, the petition article number 36? Okay, why don't we ask our petition article number 36 to come up while we're doing that, and we can get them out of here at a reasonable time? Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. And it's Chris Tobias?
Gabriel,
Chris Gabriel, right.
Highway.
Right, okay.
Attorney Mark Vaughn.
Hi, Mark.
Good evening,
Welcome.
Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Okay,
Appreciate you having us on your agenda here tonight. Attorney Mark Vaughn, I'm working with Chris Gabriel in connection with the warrant article that's been submitted to town meeting. Again, this is an article that's been submitted to amend the existing zoning bylaws that would allow for gas station, filling station use in a very targeted and selective manner. The way that the warrant article has been fashioned is that it would allow for a filling station use within the general commercial zoning district, provided that the area in question was within 2,000 feet of a interstate highway location, and also provided that the subject property is of a certain minimum size, that being 1 acre, as well as having direct access onto Cranberry Highway, Route 28. The purpose of this is to allow for it in a very appropriate and responsible location, so that the theory is that obviously for motorists that are near a highway interchange, such as 495 and 195, having a gas station use would be an appropriate location for that. We did not try to draft this in a manner that would allow for gas station use throughout the entirety of the town, perhaps in more residential areas where people would not feel that that's an appropriate use of the land. So we feel that this is a responsible approach to allowing this particular use within the town. Again, it's not being done to allow for it to be built in a widespread manner. I should also note that by allowing it under the zoning, it doesn't mean it can be built. We would still need to go through an exhaustive review for a site plan and special permit application before the Board of Appeals and Planning Board. So anything pertaining to the use in terms of traffic or other elements of the project from a civil site design or what have you would obviously be exhaustively reviewed as part of that process. So as it relates perhaps to some of the interests that you may have as members of the Finance Committee, we think that this would also allow for the positive redevelopment of properties that might not otherwise be developed. I think as it relates to Mr. Gabriel and his property, I think you'd see a positive increase in tax revenue. Our very conservative estimates is that you would probably see a quadrupling of tax revenue, not to mention what building permit fee revenue would be. And also, I note that the town of Wareham does have adopted the local meals tax option,
yes.
I believe, as well. So with whatever food component and coffee component that you might see within the convenience store element of a filling station use, that would obviously generate some significant revenue for the town as well, without any corresponding negative impact on any services to the town or anything of that nature. So we appreciate your time and would respectfully request that the committee consider a favorable recommendation on the article. So
Has this gone to the Zoning board, 20th?
It's before the planning board on the 20th, that's correct, yes.
Planning board on the 20th.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions?
I do, is it, gone before zoning yet?
It's, the planning board is required to make a recommendation on the article, and it's gonna be before them on the 20th of the month.
That's the planning board, I'm talking about the zoning board, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, the zoning board. No, well, the way this would work, sir, is that if this is adopted, then we would need to prepare an application, or anyone would need to prepare an application, so they want to process an application under this. It would then go to the Board of Appeals. So, I mean, I can tell you that we have met with the Board of Appeals previously with respect to this proposal, and that was under the auspices of a use variance, because the use is not allowed. I would never be bold enough to speak for the board, but our feeling was that the board felt that the use and the location were appropriate. However, the process by which to allow for it would not be by way of a use variance, but by way of a zoning change.
So here we sit with another
Can I have another question?
quagmire.
Quagmire, that's right.
We, go ahead.
I have another question,
Sure.
Madam Chair, through you. I think I know where the property is. There's already 2 gas stations right there, am I correct? You have Mobile, and then you have the one on the Mobile's right after the highway, correct? And then, there's another one right at the V there.
Yeah, I don't know
So
what it
there's
is.
two-
It changes hands all the time, I'm not
No,
sure.
but I mean, there's 2
Yeah.
gas stations there, and your property doesn't come with, I mean, it's between those.
It's actually, it's on the other side of Cranberry Highway from the mobile station that you referenced,
Yeah.
New England
Right, but I
Farms.
mean,
Yeah.
if there's 2 gas stations there, it's not within the zoning, I mean, how can that, how can that be, you know what I mean?
Those locations were actually built and developed prior to the zoning bylaw
Oh, so there's
change
been a
back.
change since
Yeah,
they've been
the
built?
zoning was changed back in 2002. And at the time, it was changed to prohibit gas stations throughout the entirety of the town. Since
remember
then,
that, yeah.
since then, there's been at least 3 or 4 gas stations that have closed in town. And because they're not allowed anywhere, I think you see a lot of the independent stations really not in a position to, you know, redevelop or improve themselves because they're non-conforming uses, so.
I mean, there's 2 there already, I mean, I don't understand why
What?
they wouldn't allow one. Yeah, I mean, there's 2 there now,
Well,
I mean,
maybe they will, we don't know.
yeah.
We actually think that having one on the other side of the street as well will be a significant benefit as it relates to traffic, because the one that is across, you see a lot of left turn traffic, and I think that, you know, having a location on that side of Cranberry Highway for people to come in and take a right in and a right out would actually help to improve traffic safety and flow.
Thank you.
Yes?
Yes, I think that that's probably as good a spot in town as any for a service station. I would like to wait until the planning board makes its recommendation before I vote. I just think that it's appropriate. I think from a financial point of view to the town, it's probably advantageous also.
I don't.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments on this?
I do though, Madam Chair. Their meeting's on the 20th?
Yeah.
But to hold off on our vote is gonna be after print, correct?
However, we do have a few articles that we can vote the night before town meeting, and we can, David brought this up before, and we should have done it, should have listened to him before. We can bring it up and we can vote it just before town meeting. If the planning board goes along with it, then we can go along with our recommendation too. We can,
And I
that can be done.
understand all that, but what I'm saying is, you know, we're gonna show a no vote in print, though. That's, you understand what I mean? That's the only
How have we
thing.
done that in the past, Kelly? Excuse me, can I just ask Kelly how it's been handled before I answer Jeff? Oh, okay. Kelly, can you tell me how we did that in the past?
We've said before the warrant has gone to print, or after it's gone to print.
Okay,
But we have left things before.
Okay.
But,
I would,
go ahead.
Madam Chairman, I was just going to say, I think we said we would do no action now with the idea that we would vote before the meeting, after we know what the planning committee or any other board that we feel should be in front of us, go through it. So I think that's consistent with what we've said in a number of other articles.
May I ask if you don't take a recommendation on this tonight, are you expecting us to be present again before you, or?
No, I don't think so, no.
Yes, we have, and I realize that too, we have voted no action in the past, and if we get the information from the planning board, we can then vote then and there, if that's the way the board wants to go. I mean, it's up to you guys. Yes.
It's consistent with what we've done on a number just like this, and you know, I think you presented your case, and we have a pretty good idea of the financial impact, which is our role.
Sure.
But we can't act until someone else basically says it's legal.
Well, I not to disagree with you, I think you could still act. The planning board needs to make a recommendation on it on the 20th. And that recommendation would hopefully be a favorable one. We think from a planning perspective, the way that this has been structured, you know, is sensible because it's such a limited defined area, but I'm sorry.
You know, we're being consistent with other things that also have to go through the planning board.
Okay, to the extent that that's been the policy, I wasn't aware.
Yeah, that's the policy we've said.
Well, that's the policy we've set this board has set.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dominic.
Madam Chair, if we entertain a vote, obviously if planning board votes it down, it's gonna be taken off the warrant. So, I'm sorry, that's not how it goes, I'm sorry.
No, it could still go forward with a negative.
Hold on, excuse me. Yes, I would. You've been on the planning board. I would.
Thank you, Al.
Alan.
I'm also the board's representative.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
I'll give you very quickly some background.
Thank you, Al.
Chris came before the ZBA, and when you're asking for a variance, which is very difficult, it's based on what they call hardship. You have to prove hardship in order to get the variance, and they declined under that particular piece. And while they were there, they recommended that you go back and look at the zoning bylaw, which basically prohibits gas stations. It was done at town meeting from all the different, zones that we have in town. So what they're looking for is to basically go in and, for a specific purpose, to allow that. Town meeting has to vote for it. The planning board, because this is a citizen's petition, whether the planning board votes yes or no in favor, it still goes before town meeting.
But
because it's a citizen's petition. The planning board is a legislative body, as is the finance committee. So any zoning change has to go through them to have a hearing. It's required, basically, by the way we're set up. But even if they say they're not in favor, they'd report at town meeting they're not in favor, but it still goes before town meeting, no matter what.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, through you now. Okay, say, maybe I don't understand, Al, see if you can help me out here. If the planning board votes no, then does that become a dead issue, or?
No.
No.
Okay.
It just means
That's what I
that,
wanna know.
it just means that they are not in favor of the zoning article as presented as a citizen's petition.
Okay.
Citizen's petition has to come before town meeting.
Okay, wait a minute, one
Go ahead,
more,
go ahead.
one more question, I still need to know. So, it's still, even if, but if planning board turns it down and it goes to vote, even if,
They don't turn it down, Dominic. They either vote, they're in favor of the change or not, because these people are required to come before the planning board,
right,
as is the one for Lynn Road and Bashant Way, because that's the requirement, because it's a zoning article to come before the planning board, even though this article is not basically presented by the planning board. Normally, this would go through, if it was a planning board article, it would say submitted by the planning board. This article is submitted by a citizen's petition.
okay, I kinda grabbed that, but,
The planning board just is gonna vote there, come to the town meeting and make a presentation when this article is pulled, saying they voted in favor or not in favor of the article, and maybe explain why. That's it.
okay, I kinda understand it. Then who actually makes the decision whether or not this can take place? Who is the,
Town
even if the town,
Everybody who goes to town meetings can vote.
okay,
We all vote. That's it.
okay, so we vote at town meeting, and if it's passed, then
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay,
And if
now,
it's- and if you-
okay,
and if you
okay,
vote
so it
no,
doesn't matter
that's
whether
it.
it passes zoning, planning board,
No,
or anything?
it doesn't matter, so.
Not on
Okay,
this,
it
not
really
on this
doesn't.
one, Dominic.
I need that clarification, thank you.
So let me just clarify something while Alan's still here. So that could say that, for example, we could take an action to say, we think it's favorably financially for the town to do this. Forget about where it is or the other issues, because that, we're looking at the finances of it. The planning board would come back and say, no, we still don't do it. And those are just two recommendations that go before the town before
In a
that.
citizen's petition article, we're basically just giving our opinions, and that's the end of the
And
game.
that's the end of it.
Town meeting makes the
That's all it is,
decision,
it's
not
our
us.
opinion.
So then what, okay,
There's no reason, I guess, for us to hold off.
that's what I mean, why not
Why
vote?
not- why not vote?
That's what I was getting at, okay.
Tom, do you have a question?
Just so you understand also, all this does is allow for what they call a special permit by this particular, zoning bylaw change. It means these people have to go back to square one, go before the ZBA under the special permit, and go through the whole process again.
Okay.
It doesn't give them the right to go ahead and do the project.
That's my question, okay. I understand now, thank you.
Go ahead, Tom.
Do we have an idea what the tax revenue we get from the mobile station that is across from Morse Lumber?
I do, I actually looked it up, and it's approximately $16,000 in annual tax revenue, property tax revenue.
That's property, and then how about the 1.5% or 1.25%, or whatever it is, it's
The meals tax?
the meal tax?
Yeah, I don't know whether the town actually breaks it out by restaurant. All I know is that the town takes in approximately $500,000 a year in meals tax revenue. I don't know if it's broken down by restaurant. If it is, I wasn't privy to that data, but, I think it's a fair amount, just given that, every time there's
How much would a station like that do in meals type stuff?
I don't have that data, I'm sorry, but to the extent that a cup of coffee is taxed, there's obviously a lot of cups of coffee that are sold, so I think it might be significant, so.
One more question.
It's 0.75%.
0.75.
And, I don't know, we'd have to check what's on the service stations, but we get it as a lump sum from the state quarterly. So,
Okay.
the state might be able to break it down by a service station, but we'd have to search that.
Yeah.
I would
So-
think that would be worthwhile information for you people to have. You're trying to mark that.
Use the mic.
Yeah, we could certainly try to get a better handle on that number between now and town meeting. But I think regardless, right now, Mr. Chris's property has annual tax revenue of a little under $5,000 a year. So we think that a new facility, state-of-the-art facility, state-of-the-art building would probably generate about 20,000. I think, the 16 that I gave you from New England Farms, that's an older building. We're talking newer construction. There'd be significant building permit fee revenue as well, plus the wild card too of the meals tax revenue, which I think is
But
bonus.
New England Farms would probably lose some revenue. I mean, you can't,
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
anyway,
but
never mind.
yeah,
I just was curious as to how much money we're talking about.
all right, Barney, does anyone have any more discussion on this matter? I'll entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
I'll entertain a motion. You need
A motion,
Yeah.
I vote that we, sorry,
I'm
I
sorry.
vote that we move to accept this amendment, this article.
Can I have a second? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
What was
Thank
it,
you for your
what was the
time.
vote, honey? I didn't-
520.
520.
520, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. All right, moving on to Mr. Town Administrator.
Hello.
Hello again. Okay.
This is the format that we've used, I think for the past few years now. You'll see the different columns from continued appropriations. Just to highlight one, when you see under the town administrator, the continued appropriations, those are actually budgeted, those are actually articles. They're not the budget. So there's the 103,000 for the LED lighting, the 15,000 that for the EMS when we went for the grant for the it wasn't necessarily the DFib, but about the matching amounts of money for the $150,000 DFib. And then what's left over from another small amount. We're trying to keep track of these. We never have in the past actually kept track of these sorts of articles. We want to give everybody all the information. But when you see those wouldn't be budgeted dollars and wouldn't be expended as such. So you'll see those in a few of the columns.
Okay.
It's really a simple document. When we go through, you'd see the budget revisions. That would be if town meeting voted any changes from, let's say, expenses to salary, moving from one department or another. If the reserve fund transfer was authorized, then you'd see what the revised budget would be, year-to-date expenditures. If there's any outstanding POs, this is true. The PO column really isn't one that's active with our accounting software from our end, but it's something we would like to track. So we're going to keep the column for future use. Unobligated balance, the percent expended year to date, and the expected percent expended year to date. And then what you usually will receive is a cover sheet with some of the explanations. We know that a lot of our contracts, like our accounting software, email, other such, we pay at the beginning of the fiscal year, so that can throw the expenses out of line of what you would what you would expect if you just broke it down by monthly.
Okay. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
I have one question in the education line.
Yes.
There's, and if I can find this sheet where I made the mark.
Page 4
2%
of 8.
Of the expenditure, or page 4. Whoops. The personnel in the school department, we only spent 2% of, is that because of August being a non-school month?
Well, they do get paid out at the end of a fiscal year, so in June, they receive all their paychecks that would carry them through the summer if they're teachers and such. The selectmen have asked that we bring in the school to get a better line item version of their budget as well, because this is broken down as just personnel line and expenses, and obviously it's our biggest budget by far, and we should have some additional detail, and that would have to be generated from the school side. So this is probably about as simple as it gets, and I'm sure you'd want more explanation on that.
I agree. Definitely do. Anyone else have any questions? Marilyn?
I have one.
Okay.
I don't know if I can find it. In public safety under police, the articles, I think it is, it's 83.9. What's that, Derek?
What page on, Ron?
I'm sorry, page 3 of,
3-5.
page 3, and
Of
it's the third paragraph of public safety. It's listed as number 2.
Yes, that should be the leftover from when we put the monies aside for the police cruisers. We did the article as a separate town meeting article.
Right.
So that should be the money that's left on the carryover. And if you see the expenditures on there as they've received the vehicles, and then you'll have an amount of $19,275 left over.
So how many vehicles do they have now?
On that article, I think we were able to purchase 3 vehicles.
Right.
We could have maybe picked up another one with some trade-ins, but this shows sort of why you need to make sure everything's spelled out in town meeting. Because the town meeting motion said 3 vehicles, even if you had enough to pick up a 4th by whatever happened, you can't do it because you didn't have the authorization for it. So we'll have to actually write to we have 2 options here with the 19,000 that's left over. At the spring town meeting, we can vote to have that used for another potential item for the police department, or we could write to the town accountant to actually have the rest of those funds returned to the general fund, and that would flow to free cash. So it would not be expended.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
There's, we do the revenue on quarterly. One of the reasons, and this may confuse some people that aren't used to it or just seem counterintuitive. The reason for the quarterly revenue report is often that's when we're doing our taxes, we're receiving some of those revenues. So if you did it just as a monthly, your heart would probably stop if you thought about it as a regular business. So, we welcome any input on this. I know it took a while for us even to get to this format, and we've been trying to increase the font as well, so that it's a little bit better.
Well, it's 100 times better than it was a few years ago. And it's getting much better, is it not?
When will September land on your desk?
I would expect to have that closer towards the end of October. One of the reasons why I'm saying that is we are working on the free cash plus setting the tax rate. This doesn't automatically generate from our accounting system. It's manual and making sure that all the entries have been made as well. So it's a bit of a bear. We did do and I wasn't able to attend it, but we did have a meeting with the accounting software. They had gone over a budgeting program that they have in there. However, it has a glitch which will not work for us apparently. So it's that's one of the issues I have. It would be much easier for all of us if we could generate the reports. They'd be simply right in the format. I could break it down by accounting function as well. So this is, you know, especially when you're short-staffed, you want to make everything as easy as possible. So.
How often do you feel we need to see this then? I mean,
We should get the monthly.
Yeah, you should.
but if it's is it gonna save any manual effort if we just say we want it quarterly?
The expenditures should be brought forward to the Finance Committee and to the Board of Selectmen monthly. It's something, I think it's even, I don't know if that's actually in the charter on the reports for monthly. I thought it was, yeah, in the policies. I understand what you're saying, but
Okay.
we have 2 years on the current contract with our accounting software. We have brought in some other vendors to look at whether they will work for us with our size, whether it's cost prohibitive or would work. So don't forget, just the original accounting software, we also have about $60,000 a year that we pay in the annual maintenance fees. So if we can bring something in that maybe even the annual maintenance fees are cheaper, it would be, and we have a better product, it can work. Vadar as well has also now changed over with the school accounting system that's working a lot better than it has in the past, and the two systems are communicating better. Vadar's strongest function is in the collection and the revenue side. The other aspects from the POs and such is tedious with them.
I guess, yeah, I think I would encourage you to move in that direction. I think you have some investment laid out in some of the capital plans and things like that, but move in that direction. And if you can also get the 5-year planning stuff as part of it, because it all should flow through, that we take that 5-year plan, becomes the budget the first year, and then you have the capability of adding the fifth year each year, so that you basically, and the bigger thing is, rather than have people doing all this stuff, you could spend the time just doing exception management
All right.
by finding out what's not going the way we said we wanted it to go. That's where my feeling is that's where we ought to spend our time, working on what's not going, once we agree to a budget.
All right. Bless you.
Anyone else have any questions on the August report? Okay,
All right.
anything else first?
Well, I'm not going to make up some fluff for you tonight.
Okay, no fluff tonight, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very
Mr. Town
much.
Administrator. Derek, have a good evening. Get home at a reasonable hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Night, Dirk.
Okay, we still have some items that have to be voted on. I think, we have to vote on Article 7, Article 11. Oh, we just did that one, that's right, too, okay, okay.
Excuse me,
What was that?
Excuse me, can I get the vote on 11, please?
11?
What was the vote on?
520.
520.
Thank you, dear.
Okay. 7, 27, oh yeah, 30. Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt. I had one question for the pleasure of the committee, where we have the motions, and we have them as well for the ones that we're holding on for free cash. What, and since we're putting in these books, what motion do you want? Do you want the motion that if there was free cash? I'm trying not to confuse this. We have the Department of Revenue coming in on the 20th to work on it, which would mean, with the strong urge that we will have free cash for it. I don't know, it would be more confusing for the general public.
Well, I guess I would defer to Claire. Claire, can you come up and help us out with this here? 'Cause you're.
I know we voted to abstain until we heard that.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Derek brought up an interesting, we're talking about, go ahead, Derek, about.
The items that need free cash in order to be funded. But since we're putting motions in the Finance Committee handbook, which motion should we bring forward? Would it be if there were free cash, or would it be the Passover? I'm trying to figure out what's more or less confusing. I guess I would almost say we try and go the whole 9 yards as if there were going to be free cash.
You could actually do both. You could actually, I mean, it's their warrant, so
Right.
they could put both. You could put, if free cash is certified, our vote is, and there's your vote. If free cash isn't, this article will be passed over and the vote.
So we could do that for the motion. If there is free cash, the motion would be, if no free cash available.
Okay. Yes. Mr. Titlebaum.
Through you, just a brief procedural question to the moderator. If there were no free cash, wouldn't those be part of the initial consent agenda that
They
you
would
would
be.
set forward at the time of town meeting?
They would be. I mean, your role is to give guidance to the voters. They're looking for your recommendations.
Mhm.
If they came into town hall ahead of town meeting to pick up a warrant and they're looking for it, they might be looking for your information.
Mhm.
So the general public would not know that these were dependent on free cash. You could take your vote and then underneath put dependent on free cash being available. There's several ways of doing it.
That's, I wanna do it as clear and as clear as we possibly can to the voters. Because as you say, the voters aren't they're gonna flip, and there's a lot of voters in this town, they're gonna look to see what we have to say.
You could
Okay.
actually do in your introduction.
Exactly.
In the last paragraph of your introduction, articles, and list the articles will be based on whether or not free cash has been certified. If free cash is certified, our vote will stand. If free cash is not certified, these will be passed over. So there's several ways of doing it.
Can we, that was the question we asked last week, was we had a priority, a proposed priority, which Bonnie had laid out as to, for example, we wanted to make sure we got the measurement thing first, and then there were 5 items. Can we say that in the introduction so that, because you brought up the point, if you get to item number 4 and there's no free cash at that point, how could we have recommended
I
it?
think you put that in your introduction letter. I mean, your introduction letter gives you the overall perspective of the health of the financial picture of town meeting. So if you put it in your introduction, that at the time the votes were taken, free cash had not been certified and was unknown, therefore we were unable to make, a favorable recommendation until we knew whether free cash was available.
Well, we're recommending 5 things. Let's say we made a favorable recommendation in each one of them. We still, in our minds, had said, free cash during the course of the year, you can do this one, but in fact, it was town manager's recommendation is I want to do this, but not this if there's not enough cash. Can we state that in the introductory?
Sure. I mean, this is your role, is to make a recommendation of your financial perspective, and recommend to the people the
All right,
financial
so-
stability of,
Here's what we would do as cash became available.
that would be in your recommendation letter, in the,
Okay.
We
At the
should,
front of the
Madam Chair, through you, we should put them in order. Free cash our first vote would be, say, 20, and then say, and then go down the line as our importance. There's 5 depending on free cash. Depending on how much, we would first like to spend it on 1, then second 2, then second 3. Put them in the order that we feel is the most important.
all right.
I think that's what we should do.
Yeah, I think you have to be careful that it's not how you feel. You have to take it from a financial perspective.
Well,
The
that's-
finance committees,
That's
from
what
a
I meant.
financial perspective,
Feel
that this would be
1 is more important than 2, and then go down in a list that we feel.
from a
would be-
financial perspective.
Exactly. That's what I meant.
But we did agree on what the town administrator,
Well, we voted no action on all of them.
okay,
We didn't, Bonnie did have a list that we felt was more important.
and that's what we're trying to locate, but we don't have it here.
We felt that 20 should be the first spent,
Okay,
the mandate, the
20,
state
and then
mandate.
31 was another one.
excuse me?
31 was another one, Madam
Yeah.
Chairman.
Bonnie
Oh,
wrote down
yeah.
an order that we felt was important.
Okay.
But
I
the
mean,
order was the
yeah.
one that you you had said this is how you would see the town wisely spending it, so we took
We
some
feel the state
counsel.
mandate was the most important to get through.
Yeah, or you could, under your articles, just take your vote of no action, and in your introductory letter, put, if you see an article that has no action, the reason for that is, and explain, at the time, free cash wasn't known. So
Okay.
that's something you could do in your introductory letter.
Okay,
So I
Leave that
think
up to
under
Bonnie,
the,
I think, yeah.
under the article, if we're writing the motions on there, we'll have, I think it's a good idea, if free cash is available, the motion will read as such, and we can read that out at the pre-town meeting and such, which
Okay.
might be a good time to explain that to the general
Right.
public.
that's a great idea.
That's good,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a great idea. Everybody
Sure.
agree with that?
No.
What would that be?
like?
Go ahead, David.
I was the one who recommended that we vote no action on all of these, because we don't have the money. We don't know that we have the money available. And in reconsidering that in the discussion we're having tonight, it would seem if we're being clear to the voters in the warrant, it would be advisable, should we decide that, for example, 31, which is the wheelchair lift at Minot School, if we feel that that's a worthwhile use for the money is the free cash, then we probably as a board should say we vote favorable action, providing money is available, and we assign it priority number 1 of 5 or 2 of 5.
Exactly.
And that way, someone picking up the warrant would understand that we voted favorably for it. We thought it was a good idea, we're concerned that there's going to be money available,
Well,
and there's a
we also-
certain priority.
Whoever's, when we introduce the article too, we can explain that as well at town meeting. That's probably, you can put it in print all you want. We can put it in the introduction letter, as she said, but a lot of that's not gonna get read. They're gonna listen to you.
The introductory letter, and I'm sure it's very well written, is something that is forgotten early in the process. I think that,
You're very, yeah. no,
I
no,
think that
I'll
when
not
the voters
agree-
are there,
I'll disagree with you there.
at town meeting floor, they're looking at the motion and the recommendation from the finance committee.
The chairman wrote this, she has, recommendation, all articles are required to have a funding source, and since the only funding source available for this expense would come from free cash, the finance committee voted no action on this article until the amount of free cash can be certified. This article may be passed over if it is determined that there is no free cash funding available. And then she went to article,
That's just for the free cash.
the free article, okay. That's for the free cash articles is what she had.
Yes, that's what
The
she wrote
five.
for all five. Yeah.
She might, the only thing
Is
she
that,
might,
Kelly, I'm sorry, is that the explanation? or-
That's our recommendation.
Okay, good, yeah, so
Yes,
at least we have
that's
the,
recommendation for all those free cash.
right, but we'll have a separate explanation in case something were to fall.
Now,
Exactly.
could we,
Okay, go ahead.
Manager,
Yes, please. Go through. I don't-
could we then say on those articles that Article 11 is first priority, Article blah, blah, blah is second priority, and the finance committee, as we put numbers behind it? Because you're gonna have certified free cash, but you still, during the course of the year, things could be dynamic, I would assume, that you may or may not use all of it. That's my sense when you were talking.
My goal would not to not use all the certified free cash. We like to try and roll it over, and you could come back in spring and then transfer the funds from free cash for something that you wanted. Most likely, what I would say is, and honestly, I can't give an estimate on the free cash, but we know that we'll, as we have over the last few years, a sizable snow and ice deficit. So letting that roll over goes towards the snow and ice deficit.
I did two things here. Let me go back to the.
I think what Jeff is trying to say is, can you pass the article and then wait till free cash is certified during the year? Is that what you were trying to get
No,
at?
I was trying to say, I like what Bonnie wrote.
Bonnie wrote.
Just add, we had a priority for each one of those items. Do we
just add a
just,
priority list to what
just
she
put,
said.
just
that's all.
add the priority, this is priority number 1, this is priority number 2 at the end of each of those write-ups? So then the town knows where the finance committee was coming down on how these things ought to happen.
Then you get somebody saying, well, I think 2 should be 4 and 4 should be 1.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Tom. I think we could make a recommendation, but we would therefore have to do it in our introduction letter, because you can't do it on the warrant. I don't see how you could do it.
That was your message to us last week. You
Why?
couldn't do it on the warrant. That's what I got out of it. And that's
Right, you can't do it in the
what
warrant,
she
but
wrote
you
up
can
is
do
what
it.
I heard you say. But it didn't answer the question of priorities. But if the letter will do that, then maybe we write it in a letter and in answer to,
Hold on a second. The thing is, we're voting on the articles whether we recommend them or we're in favor or not in favor. I don't think it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it's our place to prioritize them. Either we're in favor or we're not in favor.
But then
How
you're
would
gonna
it
run
be
out of free
no.
cash.
Well, but my question is,
I know the problem is, this is one of the first years that we're trying to do it before the October town meeting. Usually we have it before the April. In the past, and so in other communities, they have it certified before, so you would know how much money you have, where's the priorities, and I understand it. We could theoretically have, $1 million in free cash and not have to worry about really a priority list for it. Half of it would go to free cash. The update, which I don't know if it got, stabilization. I don't know if it was if it's been sent to you. We did get the numbers from the Director of Assessing, and that project for the state mandate came in at 173,000, the estimate, and we've put a 10% contingency to bring it up to 190, which is much better than the 250 or 300. And I said, I don't see how I can explain 250,000 when we have 173,000 estimate. So that's, you know, we could have enough money on there. The priority list, the only thing I would say is, especially since we're in a lottery system, I could see an article being voted down, because you said, well, this is our lowest priority. Well, people don't want to vote for it in case it takes money from another article and such, so, yeah.
We're gonna know whether we got free cash or not before the meeting. So if we meet at 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
we can say, this is what we're recommending, and 1 through 3 get recommended, and number 4 and 5 don't get recommended because of the absence of enough funds to support it.
Tom, I can assure you of one thing, we either will or will not have free
Yeah,
cash.
so,
That's the one guarantee I'll
why
give you.
why are we pushing for
Okay.
a decision now when we can wait until the 27th at 6
Hold on.
PM? Further question, if we happen to go to a second night, I know Claire is anxious for this to happen, and free cash is not ready for night 1, but we push it off for a week, and by week 2, it is available. Can we, at that point, do those articles on the basis of now knowing what free cash is? And make that the strategy as to how we would plan the second night, and also make that the strategy as how we pull the balls out of the hopper?
My Weasley answer is that's
Yeah.
at the pleasure of Madam Moderator.
Pardon me?
To answer that one.
There's a couple ways of doing that, Tom. If the town administrator and the Board of Selectmen felt that free cash might be available the next week, which we cannot meet the next week, by the way, because that week will be the elections. So we will
Well,
not be
do it-
going into that
so
second
it'll
week.
be 2 weeks later.
Be 2 weeks. If there was a strong sense that DOR was gonna come in and certify the free cash, we could always lay those articles on the table, come back in 2 weeks and act on those and take them off the table. Or we could act on them, pass them over, and this gets pretty touchy because then you would want to ask for reconsideration, and the only way that I've allowed reconsideration if there is new information that had not been prior available, and I would say if free cash got certified, that definitely would be new information that had not been available, and I think I could comfortably say that I probably would accept a reconsideration.
And we'd run the risk of not having 150 people the second night.
Exactly.
The other
Yes.
piece to that is, I believe in the past you've issued rulings that reconsideration needs to take place on the same night. So you're not gonna be able to escape the bounds of that particular evening if you make that your initial ruling.
Exactly.
You're gonna have to look at it a different way and say that reconsideration will have to take place during the course of this meeting.
At the meeting.
So that's, I don't know if you wanna go down that road.
Yeah, I
Some
mean,
of
you
the
have
things
to be,
that are on there,
yeah,
that's-
I
yeah.
mean, as a moderator, you try to be very consistent and not
Yeah.
waver,
Madam Chair,
because
you-
then it opens up Pandora's box.
So laying on the table, I think, would be the
The better
the
way to go.
preferred way to do it.
Madam Chair, are you concerned about our vote for print? Is that what you're concerned about? The no
I'm-
action, you believe
no,
that the
I'm
no
not
action vote at print is wrong?
I'm not concerned.
Then,
No, I can tell you the selectmen get a bunch of no action votes, and it was to be actually consistent with your earlier votes.
they are,
Right.
So-
same ones you vote no action, we
Yeah.
do too.
Yeah.
My only question had been, and I'm sorry to interrupt, whether which motion, since we're trying to put the motions in this go around, would be acceptable. And I could have left 20 minutes ago, so probably shouldn't have said anything. It's just done one way or the other. But you know.
It seems that the proposal where you just basically keep the no action, write it up in the, how you're thinking about it in the introductory letter, and then we get together that night, assuming we know that there is. And now that we know that there's free cash, which ones would we accept? And then the others, when it comes up, say, with the information we have, we now basically have to either leave it no action or do something different. But I mean, it keeps coming down to, that's probably the only way that really works with what we have.
And I mean, that would be in your opening statement. You know, you have naturally the ability to have
Yeah.
an opening statement, so you could bring that forward in your opening statement.
Yeah, we took no action votes with the full understanding that if the free cash came in, we would have to subsequently rescind the no action vote and then take another
That's
favorable
what we
action
were gonna
vote.
do the night before.
So
that
that's-
still seems like a good
All right,
plan.
Yeah.
hold on, because in our letter, I have it in front of us, and she does have, contained in this warrant is a transfer of free cash to our stabilization fund. While at the writing of this message, the amount of money in free cash had not yet been certified, the transfer of 50% is a policy already in place by the Board of Selectmen. It's imperative that we follow through on this policy each year. While some would disagree that we can't save for tomorrow when we need it today, having a strong stabilization fund is necessary if the town needs to borrow in the future. Additionally, you will find 3 capital expense articles and a state mandated measure, 10-year measure, and list of all real estate that cannot be funded by any other method than with free cash. This means prioritizing what absolutely needs to be addressed first with the monies that are available.
That answered it. right
She's
there.
got it
That's
right
fine.
there.
That's fine, that's fine.
She's got it right there.
So, Madam Chairman,
Sure.
just in concert with that, I'm looking at Article 6, which is free cash to stabilization fund, and that's what you read about, per the selectmen's policy of taking 50% of the certified free cash and putting it towards stabilization. I'm looking at this, and we both voted favorable action on it. I'm guessing that should have been a no action vote along with the others, because we just voted favorable action on money we may not have certified by then, so. That's the one that's kind of, that's the nail that's sticking up in this. Everything else is where it should be, but that's the one that's a little goofy, so.
We kind of said we gotta do that, so.
Of course, you kind of re-ratified the policy, which I think we all like, so we're happy
Yeah.
with that, but.
I think we should leave it alone.
Yeah, I think our original plan we ended last week is good.
All right. Did we answer your question, Derek?
I'm just going to do it.
Thank you.
Do we have one more thing for him to be like Columbo? We have one more thing?
Do you have one more thing?
No,
Oh, okay.
he wants to go home.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
So, Madam
Thanks.
Chair, we had.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and Selectman Titlebaum. Again, for your help.
Madam Chair, we have, number 7 said to hold for tonight's vote.
Yes.
Reason being, have we answered our questions?
No, wait a minute, town administrator was gonna give us a rewording of the first part of it, right? 750 for,
Oh, the 750,000 for the to go out of, for the sewer,
that's what we're voting on.
you're gonna put $750,000 is gonna be the maximum for the Swiss Beach.
For the engineering
For
the
engineering.
rehabilitation of the Swiss Beach sewer project.
Actually, I wrote that too, didn't I? Didn't I
Has
write
that been
that
written?
article? I
Because
have
that was the action item, you were gonna write that, and then we would vote on that.
All right, well, I clearly flubbed on that one.
Okay.
You Columbo me, actually.
Okay. Okay, what
Let me check and see if I did that with Rich.
Yeah, we don't have that language.
what I have written here is, as we know, the Swiss Beach project is one of the earlier projects done in the early 70s. The current
We might have from
system
2 weeks ago.
is 15 feet down in the ground level, water is 6 feet, therefore groundwater, we need to, okay, at the end, I put the anticipated cost of the engineering is in the range of 750,000.
That's what we were
The
gonna vote,
sewer users will be required to pay the cost. That was my explanation.
and that's what we were gonna vote on, is that,
Okay.
rewriting this to say 750 of a
Does
20.
it-
different than 18 to 20 million, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that gonna be the way it's gonna be?
Well, no, they can tell them it's 20
Well-
million.
Was this from the last meeting, Claire?
Yeah. You got it?
Is there a Board of Selectmen, Madam Chair, through you, is there a Board of Selectmen's vote on that, on 7?
Article 7?
There wasn't.
Yes, there is.
I believe
400.
Thank you. That's
Okay.
it. 400 was last
Right.
night?
Yes.
Okay.
So
And how much is it, 750,000?
We have not heard
Yeah.
the motion.
I move that the town vote to transfer from 2014 certified retained earnings the sum of $750,000 to engineer the rehabilitation of the sewer system in the Swiss Beach area, period.
Okay, thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion on it? All those in favor? of Article- Aye. All opposed?
You can't, you gotta say no.
Excuse me?
$750,000 for engineering,
Yes,
and this project may cost $18 to $20 million?
Well, we don't know that yet.
we don't know that until you can't know anything until the engineering is done.
Okay, so this is just for the engineering.
Exactly.
Right.
It's up, just so you understand, it's up to 750,000. They don't know the exact amount at this point.
Is that what you said?
We would
Up
certainly
to?
hope so.
No, I don't have up to, because the town council does not like
Like
that. And so if you don't expend those funds on
Goes
there,
back.
that it goes back, so
Yeah.
that would be,
But the practical
yeah.
sense is, if you have you're not gonna tell somebody who offers to do it for 500,000, no, we gotta pay you 750, so that's.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I,
Maryland doesn't believe you on that one.
Maybe that was done in the past, but that's not happening anymore.
Okay,
we're struggling with that.
Yeah.
all right, can I have a clearer vote now? All those
All
in
right, so this
favor?
is the 750 for engineering.
750 for
Only.
engineering.
Exactly.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right,
7-0.
thank you.
One more time.
Should we go lurk out in the hall for a few more minutes, or are we dismissed?
No, I have one other question.
I-
Here comes
I
Don.
need
Yep.
another question. Board of Selectmen's vote on 15, please.
400.
0.
400.
And Board of Selectmen's vote on 31, 2, 3, and 4.
31 was no action, 400. 32 was favorable action, 400.
Okay,
And 33 was favorable action, 400.
Kelly gave us all this information,
oh, I
guys.
didn't have it, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I didn't get it.
No.
Oh, I didn't get to
I
do it.
see a bunch of people
apologize.
busy writing, so I'll keep talking.
And one more. I'm
The
sorry.
petitioned article 34, that was no action, 400.
Thank you.
Yep,
Sorry, Kelly, I should
Same
have
as
taken
us.
the paper, I said I had one.
all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, we have to go down to the, oh, these are the community preservation ones, the Parker Mills. Is that what we have to
Yep,
vote on?
27 we need.
We have to vote on Article 27. Community preservation?
Parkerville Dam.
Madam Chairman, ask a question. How did that meeting go on that Friday morning? I did not attend.
I was not there either.
Anyone go to the,
Did you, okay,
could
can
you
you,
report to us, please?
yes.
All right. I'm looking for, here, dam. Here's what we know about the dam. This is really a sticky situation from all angles. The town owns, I'm gonna round these figures off.
Yep.
The town owns about 60% of it, and, or 67%, and Makepeace owns 37%. However, and those might not jive because it's somewhere in there,
33%?
33%. Because where they own the land, and I don't know if I can kind of show it to you, the road, if you know the area in front of Tremont Neal, the road definitely is falling in, not only because of the dam, but because of the runoff and the way it's pitched. The thing that failed is not the dam per se, it's the bridge that's attached to the dam, which kind of, it all comes in pieces, not to scare the residents that the dam's gonna go and let go any minute. But in doing that, to get the funds, the $167,000 that we got from the state and the CPC funds of 800 and some odd, brings us to $1 million. The dam needs to be shored up. A culvert that's entering through the dam into the Tremont Nail Factory, which runs water through it, would be closed, which perhaps would give us a better chance of selling that property now that it's dried out. And they're gonna put metal sheeting down in front of the dam, in other words, upriver where the mill pond is. We own the road. Maybe the county owned it at one time, but right now the road falls as our responsibility. There's a small section on Upwood near Mill Pond, near the company store that's owned by Makepeace. On the other side of the road, close to where the spillway and the fish ladder and spillway is owned by Makepeace, and there's another small section there. But all the middle section of the road, as well as probably, I'm gonna say 40 feet of the dam and the bridge belongs to us and backwards. The bridge is the main thing in danger of failing. Everything's falling down, and I have the report. They gave us the report. So the question is, do we expend these funds and use the highway funds as well, up to the 1.2 million, and have the town fix this dam, shore up, definitely fix the bridge, which runs over the spillway and the fish ladder, and perhaps Makepeace will fix the fish ladder and come into play and give us something, but that's not a certainty. But since we own 60% of it, we go along with this low-cost loan and the monies. Now, Jeff probably has more to add to that because he was also there, and maybe David.
I thought David summed it up very well. He came and looked at me and said, we are between a rock and a hard place.
Yes.
The saving grace is that, first of all, we own the road. I think that Makepeace only has a little bit of surface area there. We actually own the main road, or
Right.
the county does. We're not sure yet. And that's part of this dilemma is this whole thing is in motion. You know that something has to be done, and this is the best option right now, barring anything else that the Board of Selectmen or others can come up with as we go forward. And there's no penalty if we pay the loan back early. So I kind of walked away and said, this is a great advertisement for the whole stabilization fund, because this stuff happens. And so I think that I came away with echoing Tom's sentiment, David's sentiment, that we got to do something. And the good news is, as we do this, we do basically dry out the site, which happens to be one of the major points that the reviewing group that went through that the whole mail said, you got to dry it out if you're going to do anything. So this will get rid of that.
Okay.
So.
David, you have anything to add?
I think it's covered pretty well. We don't really have much choice. We have an investment in the property. The roadway itself is, for most of the area, most of the length of it there is actually the dam. And it's leaking in several places. It's leaking into the building. It's leaking, seems to have destroyed the bridge, which has become unsafe for traffic. I don't believe we have too much of a choice, and this seems like the best of the options we can come up with at this point.
Okay.
Take advantage of the money that the state is giving us. We have some means of funding it through CDC, fortunately, and let's go ahead with it.
I'll entertain a motion.
I just got one question. This $1 million, does that get the job done? What is that based on?
It's based on the 800 plus that's coming from CPC funds, and
And the
165,000
from the state.
from the state, and then another 200,000 from our highway funds, our chapter, whatever highway funds.
81.
Yeah, you may know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually at the award ceremony that was over in Plymouth when the state dispersed these funds to the various municipalities. What they did was they awarded us $1 million overall. 165,000 of it was a cash grant.
And then a 2%.
835,000 were eligible to borrow at very low interest.
2%.
Yeah, and so what the article here, the CPC article for, is to essentially allow the town to pay off the borrowing of up to $835,000. There are still ownership issues that are being resolved on the dam. Even if we knew what the total cost was of the project, which there have been some estimates floating around, but even if we knew what those were, at this point, we don't know what percentage is our responsibility and what percentage may be a third-party responsibility. So it was certainly not going to talk about those things until we know what they are. So in essence, what we're doing is looking to potentially fund as much as we possibly can of this low-interest loan.
Okay.
My only concern is that you get halfway through it and they say, whoops, it's 2 million. I mean, I would just like to have more confidence in what we're getting for the $1 million.
From what David and Jeff have said in Maryland, we don't have a choice right now.
Well,
I mean, we're between a rock and a hard place is exactly, I mean, we have a responsibility for that road. So, I mean, we have.
We're not using that road right now.
But we have a responsibility to safety to the neighbors and I mean.
All will happen is the level of those ponds are gonna go down 6 feet or 8 feet or whatever they are. And that's where you're at.
Well, the only problem is if they go down suddenly,
How fast they
that
go
volume of
down.
water goes through there at that rate of speed, you're gonna have a lot of other things that are gonna go up 6 to 8 feet temporarily, and I don't think we want that.
No.
No, but
That's the flip side of it.
They can regulate how much I mean, there can be a regulated flow out. They can regulate,
All dams are regulated.
right, how it goes out. The problem is that the dam, part of the dam is half the side of the Tremont nail, it's the wall of the Tremont nail factory, and there is a culvert, which is
I know.
basically a pipe that's running through there. That is leaking, and then is leaking a little bit down stream, so to speak, into the Tremont nail factory through the foundation of the dam. So it's being undermined.
Okay, yeah, but if the dam fails, that solves the leak and the run under the Tremont nail.
Solves another
Well,
problem
it-
too,
it-
but I won't get into that.
The Tremont nail would be filled with water and fall over.
No. Anyway, I just, my only concern on spending $1 million is coming back in 8 months, and these engineers have said, look, you're further down the road, and you've got to invest another sizable amount of money to.
I do know that Mr. Menard at one point,
At one point, we were 1.5 million.
I heard the figure 1.2, you've heard 1.5, so my understanding is that any difference over the million would come from Chapter 90 funds. So as we have dedicated a significant amount of Chapter 90 funds this year towards redoing 12th Street and Onset, which frankly looks like Dresden did after the bombers came through. You don't want to drive down that street if you want to keep your car. That's taking a significant chunk of money. So there's precedent for not spreading the Chapter 90 funding around. There is precedent for taking one street and putting the bulk of the money into it and fixing it. It just means we get more calls from angry neighbors that theirs didn't get fixed that year, but that's the way it goes.
They're not looking to tear the entire dam down and rebuild it from scratch. What they're looking at is metal sheeting that will go in front of the dam upstream so that when Mill Pond hits it, it protects the substructure. So
It's a cofferdam.
yes.
Yes.
Upper dam.
So that's what they're looking to do. They should be able to do that with that amount of money, but then again, this is
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
I don't think anybody can give you the guarantee you're seeking, Tom, to be honest with you.
But at the town meeting, we ought to understand that that's the risk.
Yeah.
that the-
Risk, yeah,
Yeah.
but there's risk in anything we do. I think, Tom, that in fairness, the three of us, probably 4 of us, because John was there, walked in with your attitude.
Yeah,
And
Big time.
kind of had it in our face by the end, like, uh-oh. I think we were just, we looked at it and said, this is one of those things that a town has to take care of. It's why you have a stabilization fund in a way, I mean, because you're gonna
Yeah.
have an emergency sometime like this. And this is the best option that we can see right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Alan, still have a question?
Okay.
Madam Chair, I thought Alan had a question. You all set? Okay, thank you.
All right, so really, we're basing the cost on Dave Menard's knowledge at this time as an estimated cost. And what we're looking at is we're looking at the opportunity to get up to $1 million.
Right,
Right.
And
right.
And one of the things, I will tell you this, there was originally, I thought, a 2-year timetable for the town to apply for this money, which would have given us plenty of time since it was awarded, I think, in February of this year. In the summer, municipal maintenance started getting calls from the state saying, gee, are you gonna take care of this? You're gonna vote it at town meeting? By the time August rolled around, they were pretty insistent that if we wanted to tap into this money, we get the authorization to do so in the fall.
If we lose it now, it's gone.
Yeah, there is no comeback on this,
Right,
so.
that's the other key
Okay.
part.
All right. I'm going to entertain a motion.
I move that we accept Article 27 with a favorable vote.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye with trepidation.
How many, can I have a hand count, please?
Well, just
Aye.
Aye.
Just, you're the only one not voting?
You abstain?
Are you voting no?
No.
No, okay, Dominic,
No.
no, okay, all right. All right, can I have one of you, scholars that went down there, write the article, write the recommendation?
Jeff can.
Jeff?
You want to write the negative, excuse me.
Do we need a negative on it?
Yeah, give him the negative.
You think?
I'll do negative.
Okay, now.
I love the
Kelly-
negatives.
Kelly, when do you need these?
Friday.
Friday morning, this has to be in.
You will have it, madam.
Okay, so we're looking for 27 Friday morning, okay. Now, let's
Providing
take,
the system works.
Wait a minute.
did we vote on, what other articles
Oh,
do we have to?
7, there's only 7.
32 and 33.
Okay, 30, oh, the Bryant, I thought we voted 30, 800.
32 and 33. The controlled,
The two
planning
schools.
schools.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay,
32 and 30. Yeah.
right, can I have,
I'll make a motion for favorable action on Article 32.
do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we own this school definitely outright? No hidden?
Yes, yes and
Thank
maybe.
you.
What I will tell
Exactly.
you is that oddly enough, with the next one, since you're gonna be voting on that next, there is a right of first refusal to any subsequent purchaser from the town retained by the owners of the Tremont Nail Company. So their tentacles were everywhere. I mean, I don't expect anybody to come up and say, you know, here I am, I'm the heir, I want to match his offer and take the property off your hands. It would be delightful if, either way, if we could get some money for it, is the way I see it. But I just wanted you folks to know that that is,
Is there any conditions on how we have to use it?
no.
No.
So it's just they have the right to come in and take it, but we can take it back in the town and do whatever.
No, actually, they don't have the right to come in and take it. They just have the right to come in and match any
Excuse me, to match it.
fair market offer, actually, is the way it's contained in the deed. So we could actually,
Take the money.
well, if we didn't think we got a fair market offer, we could just decline the offer, and that would, and terminate their right as well, so.
Or if we think it's fair, we can just say thank you. We'll
Yeah,
take the
and you
cash.
guys fight out over who wants it, you know, if you want it, take it.
We would love to see that person.
All right.
All right, do I have a second
find
on
him,
that?
Tom.
Did I got a motion, and I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
32.
Okay, aye.
Nay? Anybody nay? Okay, all in favor, okay. Article 33.
Make a motion for favorable action on Article 33.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was there an ownership question on that? Oh, okay.
Okay. All right,
Yeah, 33 was the one where there's the right of first refusal, but the ownership is outright in the town.
do I need people to write for those articles too?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna need someone to, write for 32 and for 33. Do I have any volunteers?
Yeah, I'll write them. I don't know what the heck you're gonna say, other than,
Anybody got any,
Do we know, have any idea what the value might be? Street value? It is impossible to write this in a way as to return to the town ownership and
We're just taking it from
allow the
school.
town to sell the damn thing.
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
That's a separate motion if we want to sell
It would be a separate town meeting article for the authorization to convey the
You
real
can't
estate.
do it in one article.
No,
No.
Right.
no.
It's two.
No, first we have to get it back, take back control, and then the next step,
The
you gotta
next one is,
connect the dots, Tom.
So you can do this, Tom, by Friday morning for her? Jerry?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and do we have 35?
35,
he never showed up.
yeah. No, I emailed a couple invitations and
Mm-hmm.
never heard back.
What is 35?
35's at Bay Point Land, and we're getting rent on it every month now, as I remember. Anyone else?
Can I have 1 second to review that, please?
Did we discuss that one?
Parking lot.
I don't see it
Anyone
being-
have any
I don't
questions?
see it being a big issue. I vote favorable, I make a motion for favorable action on 35.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. And, we need somebody to write that one too. The Bay Point one. And the last one we have is Article 36.
You voted on that.
Oh, we did,
We did that.
okay. What was the vote on that one?
520.
520. Okay, so to wrap things up, Kelly, can you tell us
Yeah.
what we need?
Yes.
That's the Cedar one.
I still need, these are outstanding recommendations that I need.
Honey, I'll come down you working tomorrow? Thursday? Or what day would you rather have me come in, Thursday or Friday?
Well, Friday will close over.
Oh, that's right, that's right. So
It'll be tomorrow.
What time roll?
It has to be tomorrow, everything has to be done tomorrow, because Friday.
This is.
Excuse me? The recommendations all have to be in tomorrow. The town hall is closed on Fridays. So,
But
But.
if you want to email them to me,
okay,
instead of bringing them in, you can still do that, but I still need it by Friday.
okay,
To
so,
my, to the town email, yep,
okay,
yep. But we still have some outstanding
What do we-
recommendations that I don't have.
okay.
What don't you have?
Number 4,
That's me, honey, I'll tell you mine.
Dominic is for,
all right,
4/22/23, the con on 26,
yep,
and the con on 27. Those are
Okay.
mine, okay?
yep,
So I'll, got a date with you, 11 o'clock tomorrow, good enough?
yep.
I'll be there, bells on my toes.
okay, so,
I need, I need.
who has 4?
Dawn.
Me,
Oh, you have 4 too, okay.
unless you want it, huh?
Okay, no. I've done
need-
mine.
A recommendation for that Article 11. Didn't we decide something for that?
Yeah, I'm gonna do the.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
You're gonna do the,
Yeah, but who's gonna do the
No, I
other
don't
one?
think anybody wants you doing that.
She's gonna do
I'm gonna do the con.
the minority, who's gonna do the majority one?
the majority on 5, huh?
On 5 or 11? You're talking about?
11, I'm
11.
sorry.
I'll do 11.
And you're just bringing the thing in conformance with the town charter,
Right.
period.
Thank you, David. Okay, and what else do we have?
Number 14, I need a recommendation.
Title 5,
That's
septic
kind of an
program.
easy one,
Yeah,
but I still need it.
okay, Title 5 septic program. What is that mean?
That's
Okay,
just-
I mean, I can do, I'll do that with
Okay,
you tomorrow.
yeah.
Okay, I'll take care of 14.
All right, and then 26, Dom, you're doing the.
I'm doing the con on
And
26.
Joan, did you include that on what you gave me tonight?
I
Because
did,
I
yeah.
had you down
But
I
for
gave you
that.
2.
I only got the con on 26, I was the only negative vote.
Right,
No, Joan was 25 and 21.
all right, well, then I need the majority for 26
Jeff was
then.
the majority.
Thought you were gonna do that one, because
I
that's the
think,
American
I think
Legion.
that's American Legion, I think that was mine, 26,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
I will do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Mm.
21 and 25, yeah.
If you don't,
Pardon?
Dad's gonna hunt you, honey.
Yes, he will.
All right.
And then,
I did have that one, but you can take it.
Oh, you did? Oh, please do it.
Jeff did have that.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I thought. I didn't, okay, so Jeff, you're doing it.
Jeff is negligent, uh-oh.
Okay.
Jeff, I have you for 27 as well, the dam, you said you were
I'm
gonna
gonna
do
do
that,
that.
yep.
Yep.
And then 32 and 33, Tom, you're doing, correct?
Yes.
Schools.
34, who's doing that? I need something for that. The
I thought they were-
Bay
Jeff,
Shore Bay.
Jeff says he was gonna do that.
35 is the only open deal we
34.
got, right? Is it, we get 35 taken care of?
No, we need
No,
that too.
35.
But we're on 34 right now.
Let's do
Who's-
34.
I
Who's-
thought 34 was getting passed, they weren't gonna, it was gonna get
But they
taken
still-
away. Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so, all right, so you need 34 as
Yeah.
well? Okay, I'll do it 34 with you.
All right, and I need 35 and 36.
Okay. 35.
I'll do,
I can do 35.
All right,
Okay.
Joan. Thank you. And who's doing 36?
I'll do 36.
All right, David. Okay, so
And then we should be all set.
Okay.
I've just got you for 14 right now, right?
I already did
14.
12.
Yes.
All right, okay.
So we should be all set.
I
if
think we
get
should be all set, so we know
those
tomorrow is the deadline, other than emailing
Right.
Kelly
By
by Friday
Friday.
noon. And we know, Dominic, tomorrow is your deadline, because you don't email.
No, I'm gonna go to her office. We've
Oh,
done it,
okay.
we've done it before.
Okay, yes,
In 12.
Because if I write it, she can't read it, so I gotta.
okay.
Who's doing 12?
I already have that. That.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all set with that one.
Okay,
thanks,
Thank you.
Okay,
No, that's, I don't think so. Hold this.
all right,
His name was on this.
so we're gonna be, we're in good shape. Folks, we've done a really good job. I think everybody's done a really good job. I think,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
what's the
12,
conversation?
we passed over 12.
Right,
So that's why we're,
that's right.
Right.
Yeah, we're all set with that one.
Okay. All right, so, we've got the public hearing is going to be on, next, well, no.
I thought it was
That-
Thursday, not
Thursday.
Wednesday.
It is Thursday.
It's Thursday, October 16th.
6 o'clock or 6:30?
I think, well, it was posted for 6:30, but
I thought we said 6.
I think you were going to do some other things at
Yeah,
6.
I was told to be here at 6.
Yep.
6 o'clock, yeah,
But the
okay,
public hearing is scheduled for 6:30.
okay. All right, and
Town meeting is
town
6.
meeting is October 27th, and we'll be there, the meeting starts at 7, and we'll probably be there at 6
6.
to meet on any
So Thursday.
outstanding,
Free cash. That's what we're gonna be meeting.
anything that comes up. You
I have to
can't
revote
believe what
these,
comes
right?
up
That's the clerk.
just before
Last
town
minutes,
meeting.
yep, always something.
What?
All right, so our next time, our next meeting date is gonna be October 16th.
Wait a minute.
Is it not? Yep. 16th?
Here.
Everybody all set with that? Thursday, the 16th?
Amen.
Okay.
And-
Any other business?
And it's gonna be here or no?
What, the public hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's gonna be here. Okay. So,
Did you wanna deal with that? Do you know anything about that? She told me he officially resigned.
oh, okay.
That's what she told me.
The other thing that, I think we probably should just wait till
Yeah.
Bonnie gets back. The member that I've never met, evidently he officially resigned.
Okay.
I don't know who he is. Who is he?
Jeff
Tufts.
Tufts.
Jeff Tufts. So he officially resigned, so that'll be up to Madam Moderator,
So we have an
Mr.
opening?
Selectman
We have an
Slavin, and Bonnie to deal with. So, I think I'm just gonna, it's on the agenda tonight, but I think I'm just gonna pass over it and let her deal with it next week, next time. I will now entertain a motion to,
Make a motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
all in favor? All opposed? All right. Thank you very much, everyone. And good night.